then there's a gap in the rule of law. There's a gap in our democracy. And there's a chance for abuse of that power in a way that harms people, and usually powerless people. And that's why it's very important that there be a judicial remedy in that kind of situation.
We have time for, unfortunately, only one more question, and I know the lady down here on the left has been had her hand up for quite a long time.
Paula Gerber from the Caston Centre. There's been lots of debate about human rights in Victoria, but one thing that's been missing from the discussion at all is any reference to the peak regulatory body for human rights in Victoria, the Victorian Equal Opportunity and Human Rights Commission. Its powers and its functions have changed under recent legislation that's been passed, and I'd be interested to hear from both our speakers whether they think that the way that system, that body operates is right, or whether there's room for reform there.
Well, one of the reasons our side of politics opposed the recent equal opportunity legislation was what it did with the Equal Opportunity and Human Rights Commission. Two things in particular. First of all, one round of legislation acts the independent chair of that authority, so that the Chief Commissioner, I think her title now is Dr. Soki, is chairman of the board and the principal executive person, and we believe that's just contrary to the long-established and quite successful corporate governance approach in Australia, both in the public and private sector, where you have a chairperson that's independent of the principal executive position. The second aspect that we were concerned about was taking what was a very limited reserve power of the Commission to conduct proactive investigations and to exercise coercive powers, and make that into a routine policy instrument. In particular, the power that the legislation gives to the Commission to require people to attend and give evidence and produce documents without even a complaint having been laid before them, and with very few protections for the citizen against being coerced. Now, the Commission says that they don't intend to exercise the powers in that way at all, but one doesn't normally say to any public body, okay, we'll take it on trust, that's how you're going to carry out your functions if that can be avoided. I think it would have been far better if the powers of the Commission that could be exercised coercively were far more constrained than they are in the legislation.
Brian Walton.
I think the Commission does a great job, its role is educative as well as investigative, but I think there is a place for a proactive role for the Commission, so that, for example, if you have a group of, let's say, workers who don't speak English, who are working in sweatshops somewhere, it might very well be that they don't have the means to even make a complaint. But the Commission is in a position to proactively investigate and look at their situation once they become aware of something. So that I think if human rights are to be upheld and valued, it's really good to have a proactive mechanism to support them.
That's, I'm afraid, all we have time for this evening. On behalf of the Caston Centre for Human Rights Law, I'd like you to help me thank our guests, Brian Walters, SC, and Robert Clark, MP. Thank you.
Before you leave, if you could indulge me with just a few more thank yous. My name's Adam Macbeth. I'm one of the deputy directors of the Caston Centre for Human Rights Law. I just wanted to thank, firstly, tonight's the Caston Centre staff, Erica Contini, Maria Smith, and especially for tonight's work, Janice Hugo. Thank you very much for the work you've put in to make tonight possible. I also want to thank some of the Caston Centre's interns who provided some research support to Damien Carrick in coming up with his questions. So to Joe Charles, Monique Hurley, Nita Monchart and Amy Burton, thank you very much for that very useful research. Damien mentioned to you at the beginning that Mr Hulls unfortunately withdrew from the event. And of course the right to freedom of association includes freedom not to associate. Mr Hulls has exercised his right not to associate with us tonight, and while we're disappointed about that, to bastardise Voltaire, we will defend to the death his right to do so. However, we are especially grateful that in the absence of the incumbent, the two challengers still pushed on and persevered with tonight, and we're especially grateful for you for doing that. So thank you very much, Brian. Thank you, Robert. We appreciate that. And last but certainly not least, Damien Carrick, who of course is the host of ABC Radio National's Law Report, which is a show that I can commend to you on Tuesday mornings on Radio National 621, has provided his services to us free of charge tonight, his journalistic skills and his expertise. No surcharge on the 8 cents a day for tonight. We're very grateful for that too. Thank you very much, Damien. And I just have some gifts for our speakers tonight. For Robert Clark, we have the biography of Bob Brown and an illustrated copy of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Thank you, Robert. For Brian Clark, we have a biography. Sorry, for Brian Walters, we have a biography of Malcolm Fraser. For Damien Clark, we have a biography of John Monash, founded that great university. Please join me finally in thanking our speakers once again for tonight, and thank you to all of you.
Oh, thanks, Don.